Hi, this is Jay Harris with Infinitybox. In a previous video, we talked about the master cell being the brain of our 20-circuit kit. In this video, I want to talk about the power cells, which are the muscle. The master cell connects to all of your switches, and it sends commands to the power cells in your system to turn things on and off. In our 20-circuit kit, you get two of these power cells, one power cell for the front of the car and one power cell for the rear. And think about the power cells as a remote fuse and relay box. That front power cell is going to provide switch power to your headlights, your high beams, your cooling fan, your horn, power to your ECU, power to your starter solenoid, power to all your lights, and power to the dash. And all that is wired locally to the power cell in the front of the car. There's another power cell in the rear, and that rear power cell is going to power your brake lights, your turn signals, your in-tank fuel pump, maybe an amp or a sub, and all the lights on the back of the car. Connecting the power cell back to the master cell is just a really thin data cable, and that's how the power cell knows what it's supposed to do. When you turn on a switch, the master cell sees that and sends a command to a power cell to turn that output on or off. Inside the power cell are the fuses that protect those wires that go from the power cell to your brake lights, or to your fuel pump, or to your cooling fan. And we use a standard off-the-shelf mini fuse to protect those wires. Also inside the power cell is the relay, but it's not a traditional relay. It's what we call a MOSFET, which is a solid-state relay. And a MOSFET has a lot of advantages over a traditional electromechanical relay. In most wiring systems, you have a traditional relay that has two mechanical contacts that open and close to turn things on and off. Those mechanical contacts have a lot of limitations. Over time, as they open and close, the mechanical contacts can erode away, and that actually increases the voltage drop and increases the amount of heat generated at the relay. A MOSFET is a solid-state relay. There are no moving parts. I can turn that off 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 times, and the resistance of those contacts never goes up because there are no mechanical contacts. Since it is solid state, that means I never have to worry about vibration or mechanical shock or anything that could potentially bounce those contacts in a relay. A mechanical relay can only be turned on and off so quickly. But a MOSFET, we can turn on and off hundreds of times a second, even tens of thousands of times a second. And by turning the outputs on and off like that very quickly, we can get something called pulse width modulation. And what PWM does is it lets me control the amount of power that comes out of the output on the power cell. So that means that I can vary the speed of a pump or a cooling fan by adjusting the amount of power that comes out. Or I can do what's called soft starting. For things like incandescent lights or large motors, I can slowly ramp the current up flowing out to that light or that motor over the first half a second. You don't notice it happening, but by pulse width modulating that, we can limit the amount of current that flows to that light or to that motor and reduce the amount of stress on the wiring and the fuse. The last thing that pulse width modulation lets us do is it lets us do things like dimming. So for example, if I close my doors, my interior lights gently fade away over 10 seconds, like almost all new cars do today. That feature that we call theater dimming is done by pulse width modulation, and that's a function of the MOSFET inside the power cell. All of our cells use a very high durability nylon 6,6 resin with a glass fill, so they're rugged and the resistance against chemicals and heat. And all of the connectors here are sealed. We rate the cell to IP54, so it means it's splash resistant and it's also impervious to dust and dirt. These connectors here bring in primary power from the battery. These two connectors here connect the power cell to the loads in the car you're turning on and off. Your headlights, your high beams, your fuel pump, whatever that is. And these two connectors here connect the power cell to the CAN network. And that's our controller area network that lets the master cell communicate with the power cells. So again, in every 20-circuit kit, you get two power cells. Each of these power cells can turn 10 things on and off. Each output has a maximum current of 25 amps, and the total power cell can supply up to 125 amps. If your car is more involved and you have more things that you need to control, you could add additional power cells by adding our POWERCELL kits. The POWERCELL kit includes the power cell, the primary fuses at the battery, just like our 20-circuit kit, the power feeds that bring power to the power cell, the output harnesses, and the CAN connector that takes the power cell and connects it to the rest of the CAN network in the car. So that's just a quick overview of what our POWERCELL is and what it can do. If you have any additional questions, you can give our team a call at 847-232-1991 or check us out at our website at www.infinitybox.com. If you like these videos, please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell icon so you get notified when we publish more. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.